حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما بقية الله الأعظم روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. When we want to approach building our life and wanting to enhance it, to develop it, to grow it, then the approach is very important. How we approach our life and how we build ourselves. A lot of times people make the mistake on relying something too much on one thing. When you rely too much on one thing, you will see that the growth is wayward. You don't grow correctly. When there is, for example, a structure that's being built, and spirituality also has a structure, our growth also has a structure. When you see that there's a structure being built in engineering, what happens is that an engineer will look at all the sides to make sure that the weight is equally distributed. If there's more weight on one side of the building than the other, you will see that building is collapsible. It could fall. It is weak. Even though one side is really strong, but you will see that the other side is weak, and because of that weakness, it's capable of falling down. So as we look at this, and we see this, right? The growth of a person is based on the fact that it has to be equally distributed. An engineer, when he builds a building, it has to be like this. It can't be that you rely on one thing too much. When we look at the reasons why we are incapable of building ourselves or our life, it's because of the fact that our approach has this fault in it, that we rely on one thing or the other too much. For example, you will see that a lot of people rely more on aqaid than ahkam. For them, aqaid is the main thing. That's it. Everything else pales. It's not even important. For some people, ahkam are more important. Wajibat. And you see that they have this tendency to rely on this, and that's it. That's their growth. And all their efforts are put just to make that strong. And you see the classical conflict that comes between those people who rely too much on aqaid versus those people who rely too much on ahkam or rules or laws. You see that where it comes. For example, those who rely too much on aqaid will say that majlis is more important. Those who rely too much on ahkam and law say that no, namaz and prayers are more important. Now, which one is more important? And according to their own view, they have an answer. Why? Because of the fact that these people are looking at it from only one point of view. So neither is this group right, nor is that group right. Both of them are wrong for relying too much on one thing. And because they rely too much on one thing, their growth is wayward. Now they are wayward. For example, you will see that you have certain groups amongst our people, like for example, akhbaris. They rely heavily on aqaid. And that's it, Ahlul Bayt. Laws, ijtihad, and all these things, this is actually not just haram, but evil. And those people, for example, who are, into taqleed and ijtihad, you see that their reliance is completely on this. And when they go to the extreme and then they speak about aqaid, they take it lightly. These things, that's it. The main thing is that we do our wajibat. And what happens, because the growth is wayward in both these people, they both are wrong. Wrong not in the sense that what they are saying is wrong, but their growth is wrong. They are not growing. None of these people can ever be a helper of Imam Hussein. Neither this group nor that group. No one can be a helper. Why? Because they did not grow correctly. In order to have a right growth, there has to be engineering done in your life. Meaning that everything has to have the correct importance given to. Every aspect has to be given importance to so that your growth is balanced. That when you grow up, you are a balanced person. And that you can look at things and learn things correctly. You can analyze your life correctly. This is what happens when people are unable to grow in the right way. Let me give another example so that you can follow me with that. Send the salawats. You will see that some people, for example, have a heavy emphasis on reward and punishment. Right? Reward and punishment. They view their growth in terms of ajr and azab. Their whole growth. They think that growth happens between these two things. Ajr and sawab. And hence, when you look at it, you will see that I do this for ajr. I do this for sawab. I do this to get away from fire or hellfire, which is a good thing. But is that the only aspect of your growth? Because if it does happen, then what happens? Then you end up becoming a businessman. You end up becoming a businessman. So what happens is this. Okay, what is the ajr or reward of reading Dua Kumail? Whatever it is. I don't know. You can go and see. I don't know. Right? What is the ajr? But let's say it's equal to, 5,000 mansions in Akhirat. I'm saying this, right? So good. It's worth 5,000. Very good. Dua Kumail is worth 5,000. Now, is there a difference if I read it in 10 minutes or half an hour? So my mind and my business mind says, if I read it faster, I get the same reward. So why not read faster? Get it done fast. And then that's what happens. The people who think like that, what they do is that they'll get the fastest reader that they have, the one who can do it express and read it. Now, whether I understand it or anything, it doesn't matter. I'm just a witness that it's being read. And the idea is that I went for Dua Kumail. Really? Is that what Imam Ali had in mind when he thought Dua Kumail? Think about it. Is that the idea that he had? That, you just hear some mumbling that goes on for 15 minutes and that's called Dua Kumail? No wonder there's no effect of it. But the reason that I'm doing this is because that's what I think. I think that ajr and azab is the main idea behind growth. And that's how you teach your children also. When you look at your children, you see that the way that you teach them, a lot of people do this, of growth is what? Ajr and azab. If you do this, you'll get a reward. And if you do this, you will get punishment. So now the motivation or the inspiration of a child doing something lies between reward and punishment. And that's all he knows growing up. This is an imbalanced person then. Because he sees everything in that way. So when, for example, he has the option to join Imam Hussein or not, he'll ask Imam Hussein, okay, if you allow me, I don't want to join you. if you allow me. Imam Hussein said, yes, it's a choice. I'm not making it incumbent on you that you have to. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm giving an invitation. You want to accept it or you don't accept it. And a person who has grown up like that will say, okay, great. He said, I don't have to come. Right? In the same way, for example, the kids say, I don't have to do the homework today. It's not about you have to do it or not. You should do it so that it can help you. It can be benefit to you. The idea is not if you have to. People who think like that are imbalanced. What they do is that they will look at this and they will say to Imam Hussein, well, he said I don't have to. Okay, good. You got an excuse, a hall pass. So what do? You get out of the class and run. That's what a lot of people did with Imam Hussein. They just ran out because Imam Hussein allowed them to. It's your option. Because your growth was incorrect and the way that you looked at things was incorrect, that's why you never saw the benefit of staying with him. This is why it's so important to make sure that our growth is balanced. That everything that we have and what we are growing with, there are different things that we build ourselves on so that we can balance ourselves in different aspects. It shouldn't be just aqaid. It shouldn't be just laws. It shouldn't be just akhlaq. You'll see some people emphasizing akhlaq. Akhlaq is the main thing. Where's akhlaq in this world? Where's akhlaq in this world? Prayer? We have poetry that says you can pray as much as you want, but if your akhlaq is bad, there's nothing. Oh, this is just to emphasize akhlaq. It's not there to downgrade prayers. But because your growth, the way that you look at things is incorrect, you take things the wrong way. And hence, you are never able to engineer life in a correct way. Life is engineered when the things that Allah has given you are put in its proper place. And everything is used. Ajr, yes. But there's also something called learning. There's something called guidance. There's something called spiritual growth. There's something called development. I need to see that, listen, I'm not just interested in ajr. The ajr is there, but I need to develop myself. I need to make myself stronger. What is my goal? My goal is to be with Imam Hussein. That's my goal. That is a goal that I have. And hence, when that's my goal, then I need to grow in the correct fashion. And this is why it's so important for us to understand that growth and life has to be engineered. And if we have the wrong idea of life, then we can never engineer life to reach that everlasting happiness. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Now, if you look at some things that Allah has given us, you see that they are more comprehensive in their usage than others. More comprehensive. For example, Allah gave the right of inheritance. The right of inheritance is not used in every place. Very little aspect it has, but it has its usage, right? But certain things have usage across the board. No matter what you do, you see it has usage and it is applicable. For example, prayer, the wajib prayer. The wajib prayer is something that is helping you in every aspect of your life. Whether it's aqaid, whether it's discipline, whether it's akhlaq, whether it's interaction with others, whether it's building taqwa, in everything that you do, you see that prayer is helping you. It has a comprehensive usage. Like fasting might not be the way for everything. Sometimes some things fasting is good, some things somewhere it's not. But prayer is something that's useful across the board in every part of your growth. Now, for example, love of Ahlul Bayt. Love of Ahlul Bayt is used, and the usage of that, the application of that is in every aspect of your life. No matter what you approach, you see the love of Ahlul Bayt is something that is going to make you do those things the correct way. Learn those things the right way. and practice things in the way that it's supposed to be done. The love of Ahlul Bayt has usage like that. Some things have this comprehensive usage, and it is a blessing of Allah that it's like that. So what I'm saying by this is that when you use these components in engineering your life that have an overall comprehensive usage, you see that you get a lot of benefit out of it. Whether it's prayer, whether it's the love of Ahlul Bayt, or for example, haya. Haya means shame, sense of shame. When a person has sense of shame in himself, that he's not shameless, the opposite of that, he has a sense of shame in him, you see that its application is in many places. When he learns something, when he teaches something, when he interacts with people, haya saves us from a lot of wrongs. When a person has haya. And when he doesn't have haya and the shame in him, you will see it leads him to a lot of sins, a lot of wrong, a lot of depravement. It happens when you're bihaya. Bihaya is a person, when he doesn't have haya, it really destroys him. It makes him do things that are deplorable very easily. This is something that when you actually look at it, it has its huge usage. So these are certain things Allah has given us to engineer. I'm just mentioning these things so that you can keep that in mind as we engineer our life. We need to be proactively engineering our life. And when a person does that, then you see that he becomes thankful. He becomes thankful to Allah, appreciative. You will see that if you grow in one aspect, not the other, you don't become appreciative. You don't become thankful. Why? Because you see a fault, you see a mistake, you see an emptiness in you. You who loved Ahlul Bayt so much that you never prayed to Allah, you will always feel empty in your life. You will always feel that distance from Ahlul Bayt, even though you claim to love them. You who pray to Allah but never loved Ahlul Bayt, you will always feel that emptiness in your heart. You will always feel that in your heart. This is going to happen to you. And because you feel that emptiness, because you feel that there's something missing, you can never be thankful to Allah. Yeah, you can say Allah shukr. Shukran lillah. You can say it as much as you want. That's not thanking Him. When Allah says to thank, what it means to thank is that it needs to come from the bottom of your heart. And in order for it to come from the bottom of your heart, the groundwork has to be built in your life. The base has to be built to do shukr in your life. When you feel something is missing, something is wrong in your life, then how can you say, thank you, Allah, I still have that thing missing, and that's occupying my mind. That one thing that I don't have is missing in me. You have a PlayStation 4, you have an Xbox. What else do you need? I don't have Switch. Just because I don't have Switch, now you know what? Allah, give me a Switch also. And until I don't get that, I can't thank you from the bottom of my heart. Why are you not happy with the things you have? Because your growth, your life is engineered incorrectly. You haven't grown in the right way. You haven't built the framework in yourself to thank Allah. And when a person is balanced and his growth is balanced and he sees that yes, he has nothing missing in him, whatever is missing is what he has to achieve, then he'll be like, thank you, Allah, for everything you have given me. Truly, I thank you. But it's hard. The reason it's hard for you to do that is because the growth that we had was imbalanced. And wherever we are right now, we are imbalanced. That's why Allah says, قَلِيلٌ مِّنْ إِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. Very few people can thank me. Very few are those who can thank me. Not everyone, my servants cannot thank me. Only a few of my servants. Very few amongst them can thank me. Why? Because they don't have the framework in them to thank me. You didn't do it right. You don't live your life correctly. And that's why you cannot thank Allah. That's why it's so important for us to make sure that our life is understood correctly so that we can lead it correctly, so we can thank Allah. We can be appreciative for Him. Most people can't get their hearts to thank Allah. You know, you will watch, I don't know, a movie for 3 hours without any pain. You know, in fact, you are now excited about the next episode to come out. And you will wait for that to come out, right? You, for example, will watch a game. You will watch a game for hours, and then you can't wait till the next game to come on. It's so exciting for you. But if you're asked to make a 2 rakat prayer, it is like a burden on you. It's like a burden. Why is it a burden on us? Because we haven't grown correctly. And this is the problem that we have. We need to engineer our life in the right way. And when we engineer ourselves and make ourselves correct, we act like that, then you see that, yes, then the thankfulness and appreciation will come from the bottom of my heart. And that's where we need to live at. There's a question Allah asks in the Quran, and I'll leave you at that question. It says, Araditum bil hayat dunya. Are you happy with the life here in this world? Are you really happy with this? Is this satisfying for you? Is this good for you? Are all your dreams fulfilled here? And you can say, yes, you know, I had a great life and that's it. That's all I want. Are you happy with this? It is a sad situation when a person is happy with this life. The reason he's happy with this life is because he doesn't understand what life is. That's why in order to be happy with this life, he has made his goals very small. That is reachable. And he made them so small that they're reachable. And then he says, yes, I achieved my dreams. Wow, your dreams were so small that you achieved them? In 70 years, in 80 years, you achieved your dreams and you're happy with that? Sad is a person who has achieved his goals here. He has not understood life. And inshallah, that's what we want to do. Understand life and know how to thank Allah. So inshallah, as I said, we have a few more days left and I have a lot to explain and I want to get through these things so that truly life can be understood in the best way possible for us so that we can reach the greatest potential Allah has kept for us. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq and the blessing to be on the right paths, wisdom to understand His guidance, hasten the reappearance of our Imam, make us His helper when He comes. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Salawat ala Muhammad.